Hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Gemma and today we're going to be picking my May TBR from the jar with the broken lid. I broke the lid last month. They said I was going to fix it. Alas, I have not, and I put all the cards back in. Sorry, my 4-year-old likes to leave his cards everywhere. So yeah, I'm going to be talking through the books that we pick out of here and all of the buddy reads, readathons, group reads. I don't think I've got any group reads, but you know what I mean. All the other bits and pieces as well. So before we do that, let's review how last month went, shall we? So these were the ones from last month. I seem to have lost the one that said recommended by Eric Carl Anderson. But that book was Boulder by Eva Baltasar, and I read that. Ding, ding, ding. So, which is good because I don't know where it is to put it back in the jar. So, excellent news. And then I also picked Agatha Christie's The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. No, I didn't read that, so that will go back in for another day. And then I picked Play, and for that I picked Hamlet by Shakespeare, and I have started that. I'm not very far in, I'm like 15% in, but I have started it, so we count that as a win. So that one can go in the bin because I've completed it. And then the last one was a gold book, and I picked So Long a Letter by Marianne, and I haven't read this, even though it's really small. I haven't read it, but I did read Boulder, which was also really small. So what can you do? So 2 out of 4, which I think is pretty good. The other thing I was doing is the TBR Spin. The pick for March was Lie With Me, April, yes, was Lie With Me by Philippe Besson, and I didn't get to this yet. So I'm now 3 deep on the TBR Spin. I haven't read any of the last 3, so they will roll on. And I will add the May one to this pile. I really need to give this some attention in May. Yeah. I also am participating in the Read Good Challenge, which is hosted by Ben at Ben Reads Good. And I picked Fugitive Pieces by Anne Michaels, which is a Women's Prize winner. Haven't read that. And I was also participating in People April. The book I chose for that was How to Stay Babylon by Safiya Sinclair. Haven't got to that, but I did read Intervals by Marianne, which is a memoir, so that will count. So technically I did read 1 book for People April. So didn't go great. Also, Picture This. I also didn't do well at that, and that's just picture books. But what happened? Let me explain. So one of the books I picked for that was Burglar Bill by Janet and Allan Ahlberg. And usually I do Picture This readathon with my youngest, with my 4-year-old. And he has fallen in love with this book. So I have had to read Burglar Bill about 15 nights on the trot. So we haven't got to any of the others because it's all about Burglar Bill. What can you do? I could have read the others just to myself. Could have, woulda, shoulda, right? So never mind. Anyway, moving on from my, I'd say, mediocre attempt at April's TBR. Let's see what we pick this month. Oh, I didn't put the gold book one back in. Let's put that back in. Okay, let's see what we get. So, purple first, and I picked Hot Setting. So I am going to actually pick one of my Misery May books here, and I'm going to pick Woman at Point Zero because this is set in Egypt, which is a hot country. So yes, that's the first one on the TBR. Easy, and I've doubled up with Misery May. If you're unfamiliar, Misery May is a readathon that I run with Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and I did a TBR all of its own for Misery May, so I'll leave that linked below in case you missed it. Next, so I've got purple. Let's get a green one. Oh, green is essays. Essays. wait there. Okay, so I just had to do a quick Google on my phone. So apologies if the angles change because I film also on my phone. And I'm going to go for Wow, No Thank You by Samantha Irby. I've heard great things. She's got 3, I think, essay collections out, and they're all supposed to be really funny and sort of tongue-in-cheek and a little sarcastic. And I've been meaning to read her work for ages, so I'm going to try Samantha Irby. So next, I've got purple, and so let's find a yellow one. Matrix by Lauren Groff, which is about lesbian nuns, I believe. I don't know much more than that, but I've been looking forward to it for a while, so that's good to have that one on the TBR. So now all I need is an orange one, and we are done with the jar. And I think it's been actually quite nice to me so far. I feel like I've probably just tempted fate in that moment. Oh, okay. A book recommended by Shelley Swearingen. So I'm going to have to check out her best books of last year and come back to you. Okay, so I just checked out Shelley's channel and her best books of last year. And I don't know why I didn't think of this before watching that video. I've seen that video before, but you know, you forget. But it's an obvious choice, really. I'm going to have to try One Piece, the manga series. Manga series? Because Shelley has just been talking about this a lot since she started it last year. And so I need to know what the hype is about. So I'm going to read One Piece. And also that's a nice, easy read because it's just like a short manga, right? So let's give that a go. And I feel like we've got through that TBR jar relatively unscathed. Yay! So those are the 4. Let's see if I can get a full house next month. I should be able to, based on what I've picked, right? Then we move into my bits and bobs. So there's 2 things that I do. I do the TBR Spin, which I've already mentioned, and I won't know what the next prompt for that is until the 1st of May. And I'm obviously filming this and hopefully uploading it before the 1st of May. So I will let you know next month what came up. I also do the Read Good Challenge, and Ben's prompt for May is magical realism. See what he did there? So a magical realism book, and I'm going to pick The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. This is on my 24 classics in translation to read in 2024, so really excited for it. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about it. I've only read one other Allende, but I loved it. It was 5 stars for me, and this is the one that everyone raves about, so I'm really looking forward to getting to that. Then we move to buddy reads. I have 2 in May. The first is Sabriel by Garth Nix, which I'm reading with my little fantasy group, which comprises of Sandy at Miss Reads a Lot, Dia at Novel Idea, and Jack at Spread Bookjoy. We have had a rough trot, but Dia has read this series before. I think there's 3 or 4 in this Sabriel series, and Dia highly recommends it. My brother has also read these when he was younger and says they're great. I think they are middle grade or YA, or like on the cusp, you know, maybe more YA. Anyway, we'll give it a go, and hopefully this time we're going to find some books we love. The other book that I'm buddy reading in May is We by Yevgeny Zamyatin, translated by Clarence Brown, which is a classic sci-fi, and it was the book that supposedly inspired George Orwell's 1984. So I'm really excited to get to that. And I'm reading it with someone that I've never buddy read before, but whose channel I absolutely adore, and that is Matt at Bask in the Story. I will leave everyone's channels and everything linked below, but please go check him out. He's fantastic and has some great sort of thoughts and recommendations on sci-fi, but he reads really, really broadly. So yeah, really excited to get to that and see what we think of a really classic, well-loved sci-fi that I've never read before. Then we move to readathons, and I'm partaking in 2, but they actually complement each other and Misery May quite well. So the first is the Spoonies Readathon, which is hosted by Emily at Novel Novels and Kat at Brews and Reviews, and looks to highlight Visible and Invisible Disabilities in Literature, and it's a great readathon. It's been, I think this is its second year, and yeah, bob over to their channels for loads of recommendations and all of the announcement information. I will link both channels below. I'm not going to be doing all of the prompts just because obviously I'm hosting Misery May, so sort of my focus is over there, but I am going to read, and I forgot to get it down, for Author with a Disability. I'm going to be reading The Sister Who Ate Her Brothers and Other Gruesome Tales by Jen Campbell. Jen Campbell is also a fellow booktuber who has just had a baby. So congratulations, Jen, if you watch this. And I have had this children's short story collection on my shelf for a while, and this seemed like a great opportunity to get to it. And it sounds, yeah, really gruesome and possibly miserable. So it could fit Misery May quite well too. So it looks at different folktales from around the world. So I'll just show you, I don't know if you can see that. It sort of tells you what the story's name is and where in the world they come from. So we've got countries covered in here: Korea, Ireland, Japan, Norway, South Africa, India, China, Spain. Sounds right up my alley. So I'm really, really excited to get to this one. Then for the prompt of a book with a visible disability, I am going to read When Things Are Alive They Hum. This is also on my Misery May TBR. This follows a young girl with Down syndrome and her sister. I talked about it a bit more in my Misery May TBR, so if you want to check that out, then please do. And I am also going to be joining in with the group book, which is The Secrets of Haven Point. And I did not write the author's name on my pad, but I'll put a picture here and it will be in the show notes. And I think this also would fit the prompt of a book that's not in the contemporary genre because it's middle grade. Again, I can't really remember what this one is about, but I know that I'm pretty sure Jack at Spread Book Joy did a solo review, so if I can find that I'll link it below. But I think some cosy middle grade will probably be required in the month of Misery May. The other readathon I'm taking part in is Mental Health May, which is hosted by Kim at Middle of the Book March, and Marilyn at Marilyn Maya Mendoza. And as it sort of says on the tin, it's reading literature that covers mental health. And so for this, I thought, what a perfect fit, because I'm still reading the Women's Prize long list. And so for this I'm going to be reading And Then She Fell by Alicia Elliott, which covers sort of postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis. I'm not too sure because I haven't read it yet, but it's written by an Indigenous author, so it has sort of discussion around Indigenous culture, and sort of she has a white husband and cultural appropriation, misappropriation. So yeah, I think there's a lot to go at in this, but it does fit for Mental Health May, so tick. You know when you start this and it sounds like a really reasonable TBR, and then the more I talk, the more it sounds unreasonable. But there we go. Hot or Not is the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the series that I do where I review brand new releases. And for May, I put up a poll, and the winner was The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. I actually saw this author talk at the Women's Prize Live last year. She was talking in the sort of Discover New Authors tent, and this book sounded fantastic. The reading that she did from it sounded really, really sarcastic, like in a brilliant way. And so yeah, I'm super excited to get to it. I think it's about someone who works for like a time travel company. And there's a little bit of spy in there, there's a little bit of romance in there, which isn't usually my thing, but I think if it's coupled with a good dose of sarcasm, then I can get on board. So that's what I'm reading for Hot or Not. And then I have two book clubs. The first is my work book club, and we are going to be reading The Deep by Rivers Solomon, and this is sort of would this fit for magical realism? Oh, maybe not. Maybe this is just out and out fantasy. And this looks at, I think, slaves who sort of were thrown overboard in the trip from Africa to the Americas, and what happens if they turned into mermaids, I think is the general premise. I don't really want to know too much, it's quite short going in, but it sounds dark and creepy and fabulous all at the same time. And Rivers Solomon is an author that I've been meaning to read for a long time, so I'm looking forward through getting to some of their work, is what I was trying to say. Sentences are hard. It's getting a little late. And then the other book club is the book club that I run here on Booktube with Alice from Alice and the Giant Bookshelf and Jack at Spread Bookjoy. We run the FOMO book club, the Fear of Missing Out book club. If you're interested in joining us, we would love to have you. We have a Discord, which is linked below, and we do a live show at the end of each 2-month period. So we have one book every 2 months, and the book for May and June is The Strangers on a Train by Patricia Highsmith. Never read any Patricia Highsmith, so I'm excited for this. And I think it's about 2 people who meet on a train and agree to kill people for each other, broadly. So I am really intrigued, and I feel like a lot of people know what happens in this, but I do not. I have no idea. So I'm going into this pretty blind with only that rough synopsis, and really, really looking forward to this. So I may leave this till June, just because I like to have read it a little closer to the live show so that I'm a bit fresher. And the live show for this one will be on Alice's channel at the end of June. If you did read the April and May book, which was Bridge to Terabithia by I'll put it here, Katherine Patterson, maybe. Then we will be doing the live for that on Jack's channel, I think next week, but I will or this week as this goes live. But just keep your eyes peeled for announcements on community tabs, because that's where it will be. Okay, and that really is it. So yeah, I think the more I think about it, the more it seems unachievable, but we'll give it a go. We always give it a go. God loves a trier. Isn't that what they say? Anyway, I would love to know what books are on your TBR for May. Are you participating in Misery May or any of the other readathons I've talked about, or any readathons I haven't talked about that I need to know about? I would love to know. And if you made it to the end of this video, let's have a train emoji for Strangers on a Train. I will leave my TBR for Misery May here, and I will see you very soon with another one. Bye, guys.